Howdy, Cowboy Gamer here, and you're looking at version 2 of the Trevenant Break list I have been working on. Now, I know everyone's running this list, and I'm going to hopefully show you over time what needs to be done to improve this list to make it really top-tier tournament worthy for states or for the next couple of weeks. What things we need to look at to improve it to make it better. I'm already looking at new ideas on this, but these are just some more ideas, things I've been working on. So far, my goal is still working on getting more mystery energies. I've only got 2 so far. It's been a little difficult to trade for them right now. With how popular this list has gotten, it doesn't surprise me that this is difficult to find. Some people are not running any mystery energies. Some people are running 4. Currently, my desire is to run 4. Why? Because this deck allows it to put on Pokemon that are Psychic, which most of this deck is, and it reduces the retreat cost. Why is that important? Well, it's not really important on Trevenant Break, but Trevenant retreat costs 3. And that is the main one that you want to have retreat sometimes. Usually what you've done is you put Trevenant out and you item lock for a while and you control the game. You make it so they play slow and you get to have good draws and do whatever you need to do in setup. And whenever the time is right, when you've put a lot of counters, whether it be 60 on the one, 2 on the others, or you do Silent Fear and do 3 damage counters on everybody, then you pop out your Gengar and do Creepshow and just knock them out. So, that is good, but once you get Gengar out there, then item lock is over and they're ready to start again. Now this is okay for 1 turn sometimes, because the very next turn, if Gengar's still alive, he has no retreat cost, so it's easy to just hop him back out and get your Trevenant back in there. However, most of the times your Trevenant is out there and you need to retreat him to get your Gengar back in. You can do this by 2 ways. You can do it by like swapping Escape Rope or Floatstone. I choose Floatstone mostly because it's an item that you're going to put on there. It is a tool. Now, a lot of decks are running anti-tool right now, but it's not super heavy that I'm not worried about it. A lot of decks are starting to go item lock, Seismitoad, and Trevenant, and because of that, Escape Rope is a lot more difficult. However, if you're able to put Floatstone on early before locks start, then you're fine. So that's why I'm still running 2 Floatstone rather than like Escape Rope. However, putting Mystery Energy on a Trevenant still counts as that Psychic energy and makes it a little easier for these guys to retreat, which is super useful for getting your Gengar out. Mostly this happens towards the end. Usually you put Trevenant out for a while, you stall out the game, you do a lot of damage to them, kill off some of their creatures, and towards like the last 1 or 2 when there's tons of damage tokens on, you pop Gengar out, you kill one, they have to put another one in, they can't kill Gengar right away, and then Gengar does another Creepshow and kills the others. So that's how you get your kind of end. To this idea, there are double colorless with Trevenant, so I am running 2 special energy DC. I don't think 4 is good since really you're only working towards this 1 Trevenant, but it is pretty helpful. Octillery is here as a draw engine. This is not what I'm hoping to finalize at the end of the deck. I'd rather, I think, have 2 Shamans in here, possibly a 3rd, but 2 for starters. Why is this important? First off, Remoraid out in the, if you get him in your opening starting hand, he goes in as your starting Pokemon. You want to upgrade him to Octillery as soon as possible, but it's difficult to retreat. It's 2 energies or a DCE or Floatstone to get him out of there. This isn't super great. If you have a Shaman out there, at least you can still Floatstone, get a DCE, and use his attack to get him back. this is also important because, first off, Shaman is searchable with Ultra Ball. So you get rid of most of your hand, you Ultra Ball for a Shaman as the last card, you play Shaman, you draw a whole nother 6. This is good. Octillery holds out a lot longer in the long game, and you are playing long game, but it looks like Trevenant Break is starting to make a rise. This Trevenant list is getting a lot of popularity. It is way up there in the last weeks of play in real life, and it is growing popularity online. So what you have to find ways of countering this deck. And in that way, Shaman works great because you are an EX that can survive a few turns. You get some energy on him, and then you attack, do 3 damage, and he disappears and goes back up into your hand, which you're able to then play again, draw more cards, and then attack with him later, and this keeps him from actually dying as an EX. So he's a really good counter to Trevenant, which takes a long time to put damage. You can wait for a while, and then right near the end, you just swap him in up there and attack, and then he's gone again, he doesn't die. So this is great. So that is a good counter. Also, I really only want 2. It doesn't change him from being Remoraid as starting as a basic Pokemon, but I think I'd rather have him as my starting with these growing numbers of Trevenant lists rather than having this Octillery Remoraid. Also, 2 Shamans is about the same as these 4 cards. Not in the long run, but earlier, and you really want this deck to start off really fast, really early. To that note, you don't want to have to get to evolve this card and waste an Ultra Ball searching for this Octillery. You want to get the effect immediately. So that is why Shaman is also good. It also means that for a similar effect, instead of using 4 cards, a Remoraid and 1 Stage 1 to get to this, you are now using 2. So this frees up 2 more card spots that can then be turned into other things, like Level Ball, which can help get a few of these out, which can go towards another Wally or Lysander or Versus Seeker to get all these supporters out. Could also go for another Dimension Valley or more energy. So that is kind of why I'm heading this way. I am also working on adding more supporters. To this effect, I have pulled out Evo Soda and put in Wally. Why is Wally important? Because turn 1 Trevenant Lock is amazing. If you are going first, and in your opening hand you get a Phantump and are able to get a Wally, you control the game very easily. I have already played this once today, and in my first hand, I had a Wally and a Phantump. I put Phantump in, and I used my supporter for Wally. I got Trevenant Lock first turn, and it stalled them. They weren't able to do anything for about 6 or 7 turns, upon which they conceded. This really hurts them. A lot of games I have played where I have gone second, I've chosen to go second because on my hopes that I get Phantump, then they go, I get Phantump, I put my energy on him, I search for Trevenant, and I get Trevenant in there, and the item lock starts. However, so many decks fire off and go through like 15 cards on their first turn before I've ever done anything. So I still think going first is super useful, and Wally is good for that, of getting the lock on early. It also is a supporter rather than the item, so playing against other Trevenant decks gives me a lot better chance. This also allows me to double evolve. This means that in one turn I can have a Ghastly, normal evolve it to a Haunter, and get the both Pokemon confused, and then immediately Wally and get it into a Gengar. This turns off the confusion on my Gengar and still leaves theirs confused. This can be super useful, or this can mean a Phantump getting turned into a Trevenant and then immediately Wallied to a Trevenant Break, immediately allowing it to only use, if I have Dimension Valley, 1 energy instead of 2 to start attacking. So this is another useful thing. Another idea I'm toying with right now is a lot of people are running more of the Ghastly Gengar line rather than the Trevenant. I feel currently this is a problem just because you really want the item lock. For that reason, I'm toying with a 4th Trevenant. I don't know if I need it because really you need the item lock, but it's not super crazy that you want to be using his attack, which takes 3 or 1 in a DCE or 2 Psychic with Dimension Valley. So I like it, but I don't know if it's super great. I'm also kind of toying with a toolbox idea of running another Trevenant, but using a different one, the one that makes it cost more for their basics to attack. I only want to run one of, but since Phantom can really search for a Trevenant, I'm okay with this one of, because if they're using a lot of EXs or Pokemon, like let's say in Game 1, I figure out their deck and it's majority of just basics. Then maybe I want to get this Trevenant and make their attacks harder, or I want to just item lock them for the first few turns, get another Phantom and the other Trevenant, and then once they've start to build up some energy, then slow them down with the other one and make it take just a little bit longer while I'm using Dimension Valley, speeding up my attacks. This is a possibility, but I don't know if I want to sacrifice the item lock just to slow their attacks down. So I don't know where the trade-off is, but for now I might be in short future running a one-of, since I have so many of the either Breakpoint or Breakthrough Trevenants. So I've got a ton. I'll probably be running one at least in the near future. I'm also I was talking about this idea of 2-2-2 and versus 3. Having a you want to hit Phantom on your opening. You don't want to hit a Ghastly or a Remoraid on your opening startup and putting these out. So for that reason, you really want the Ghastly line to be as few as possible, but you have to worry about it being prized or not being able to get out that Gengar if you only have one in there and one of these gets ruined. So for that reason, this is still super important on having the 2. Just not so much that you want more because, like I said, you really want the Phantom. So you'd rather miss on some starting hands and not get any of this and then hit your Phantom. So that's why you need this to at least be a 4 and these to be less. Another couple of people are running a Phantom 4, 3 Trevenants, or 4 and 2 Breaks. I kind of agree with this to a slight extent. Break is not as important, and it's a lot easier to Wally or Ultra Ball and search up this Break card, but the item lock is the key. So I'm going to be toying with this probably when I get down to the Shamans, when I free up the 2 more cards. I'll probably run another Trevenant and maybe just leave the Break as 3 for a while and throw in another item or another supporter. I'm also looking around and seeing what other good supporters there are, possibly heal, since Trevenant is really key. Possibly just 160, it's not a ton of damage. He can get 1 shot or he can take 2. It'd be great to have him out and just survive 1 more turn sometimes. So I'm looking on a couple of heals, possibly a Pokemon's Center Lady. More VS Seekers could be useful, but if you're item locked, then what's the good? You'd rather just have more supporters. So not exactly sure right now. I've also seen some really good lists with more VS Seekers and Battle Compressor just to get whatever key supporters into your graveyard, and then VS Seeker, get them back into your hand so it's easier to find that Wally turn 1, because you can Phantom, and instead of having to go through a Birch or a Professor Sycamore to draw through, you can just Battle Compressor, throw a Wally, throw a Bridget, throw a Lysander or Healer in, VS Seeker in your opening hand, and get back the Wally, and then kind of use it as a toolbox and use whatever you need during that turn. and it only gets rid of one of it, so there could still be more in your deck that you can draw into. So this is kind of a useful idea. I just don't know how much item lock we're going to be involved in, because if we are, then all we've essentially done is either bind these supporters and thrown them away, or we're never even able to use the battle compressor, and we might as well just be putting more supporters in to draw. Again, not exactly sure how many I'm going to hit, but I've played this maybe 7 or 8 times now online, and I've come up against 2 different Trevenant decks already, so that's very likely. But these are just some of the revisions I'm working on. Hopefully you'll see it played in the next couple of matches, but hope you guys are enjoying all these and kind of the route we're taking to make a really finite and awesome list. But this has been Cowboy Gamer, signing off.